Well, good morning, everyone. How is everybody today? Good. Let's see some numbers in the chat. One for good, two for having some challenges in life today. Great. I see a few ones. All right, everybody get ready to participate. We're going to have a nice participatory class today. Okay, wonderful. Well, how's everybody? All one. Oh, I see a two. Okay. Let's send you some good thoughts. Milan, things will get better. Hang in there. So, we're going to do some housekeeping this morning. Marina is going to give us an update on the homeworks, the status of the platform, where we can find all our material moving forward. And then I want to remind you all that if you want a certificate of completion for this course, you have to do all the homeworks, the quizzes, and the final. So we'll have more information maybe today, certainly next week, on how to post these things in the central place. Marina, would you like to give a short update on how the homeworks are going and on what we're going to do to keep them in a central place, please?
Okay, hello everyone. I could say what we have already 6 homework in 3 languages, in English, Ukrainian, and Russian. And we also already have 1 quiz in English and Russian. And very soon will be in Ukrainian. I already have translation. So I think it will be already today in our chat. And also, I want to say what I sent the homework 1 by email for cross-checking to everyone in English. And I plan to do the same in Russian today. Already have translation too. So please, if you have not email from me, please contact with me because I sent everyone. And regarding platform, from the last use, it seems like they are ready to provide a solution, and perhaps they will open platform for us very soon, but we still wait. Please be patient. I know our tech team is doing everything possible to connect us to the platform as quickly as possible.
Yes, that's so true. And I want to just remind everyone that we're sort of doing an experimental class, technically speaking. And ACI is hosting this program on its platform. It's a DCC program. And I understand there's a migration going on between one version of the platform and another version. So I'm told that we may have some progress, and this affects us because we want a central place to keep all our PowerPoints, documents, homeworks, gradings, etc. And we will get that, but not today.
But we already have everything in our chat, by the way.
Ah, okay.
Yes. PPT, homeworks, everything.
Good. So the Telegram chat is the main place at the moment, and we'll keep you posted. Yes. Thank you, Marina. But do the homework. Okay. So I want to say that I'm really proud of this class in so many ways. And one way is that we have begun to find errors and inconsistencies in some of the Sanskrit, which is wonderful. It's just great. We have so far found a unnecessary long marker over one of the letter O's. And now we're finding that there's a missing long marker over one of the letter A's, the A in the ta, which is in our new verse. So please keep looking, keep finding things, and keep reporting them. you are likely to be correct. And if you're not, it will be a great learning. All right, we're going to recite the vowel song. Everybody together all the way through. Open your mics now. All right, the vowels. You know I can't sing, so I, e, u. Come on, one more time. I, e,
A, I, O, ow, aha.
Good. And one more time.
A,
E,
E, U, U, R, R, Lir, Lir,
E,
E, I, O, ow, aha.
Great. And now the consonants, the five main ones. I'll do the first varga and then join in. Ka, ka, g, g, ra. Come on. Ka,
Ka, ka, ga, ka, nga.
cha, cha, ja, cha, na.
Cha, cha, ja, cha, na.
Oops. Ta, ta, da, da, na.
Ta, ta, da, ta, na.
Ta, ta, da, da, na. Ta,
Ta, ta, da, ta, na.
pa, pa, ba, ba, ma.
Pa, pa, ba, pa, ma.
So let's have the first slide, Marina, after the titles and the greetings. Yeah, here they are. And you recall we learned a lot about which ones of these are hard, which ones are soft, which ones are aspirated, which ones are unaspirated, which ones are nasal. So now Marina is going to help us play a game of alphabet hopscotch. Now, hopscotch is an American children's game. Maybe it's English. I don't know where it came from. But it's when children draw on the sidewalk with a piece of chalk, connected squares, and then they jump onto them in random patterns. So we're going to do that with alphabet letters. Do you all have hopscotch in your country? Do children play that? Tell me some things in the chat. Yes, no, yes. Tatiana. Great. So it looks like a cross-cultural game. Good. So you will be familiar with it. Okay. Marina will put up the hopscotch box now, more or less. And we're going to use the whiteboard function in Zoom. So as far as I understand it, you can turn on the draw function. I don't know if that's in Zoom or PowerPoint. Marina will help us. I guess that's on the left there. Is that the second icon? Yeah, see if you can turn on your pen, and then you can each draw in the box. Now, this is the 5x5 grid of the main consonants. I didn't put any markers on it. So I will call out a type of letter, and then one of you, I want you to be very brave. Do not be afraid to make a mistake. We'll write it in the correct box where it belongs. Okay, here's the first letter. Where does the soft aspirated cerebral letter go, and what is it? Think about it and take your time. I'm not going to say anything till we get a volunteer. So think about which varga is cerebral, which column is soft, and which one is aspirated. Aha. That's the right box, but what's the letter? Put the I asked for the letter in. Oh, that's not the right letter, but I like that. It's Devanagari. Okay, we're getting there. But that's not quite the right one. What's the duh? Yeah, that's the I asked. All right, I think the letter that you wrote there is the that looks like the fourth varga. Is that a plain DA, da, nasal? I mean, not nasal, dental. That one would go, where would that one go? Someone put that letter in the right place. That would be the fourth varga, the unaspirated da. Okay, not we're gonna try that later because that still looks like the fourth varga unaspirated da to me. But the DHA with a dot under it is correct. All right, let's try the next one. Hard, unaspirated palatal. So, which is the palatal varga? Then, which column is the hard? And which column is the unaspirated? That's the right box. Exactly. Yes, perfect, perfect. Wow, this is so cool. That's the right I asked, and that is the right Devanagari. Okay, let's try a couple more. Soft, unaspirated, labial. So which varga is labial? Then where's the soft? Right. That is the ba. Unaspirated, labial. Nope, that's not the right one. That is the aspirated box. Whoever just put that mark. It's the third column. Ba. And I'm really proud of you guys because in the I asked, you remember to include the which is automatically always attached. And I think we're in the process of drawing a ba. There's the sutra. This whiteboard thing is not that easy. Yeah. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. That's the aspirated one. I'm sorry. I'm so entranced with the drawing. That is the BHA, right? What's the ba? This is looking good. Looking better. Okay, but it goes the other way. The stroke. Yes. Perfect. All right. One more. Soft, guttural, nasal. That's easy one. Which varga is guttural? And which, what?
Second.
Guttural?
Oh,
First varga. Guttural. Oh, Marina gave us some extra boxes here. No, we only want to do the 5 though, so ignore those last 3. Yes, that's the right box. Now we have 6. Yeah, that's perfect. So it's the first varga, and someone has checked the right box, but I don't know what that triangle is. Yeah, that's the right box. Soft, guttural, nasal. So guttural is the first varga. Okay, but that is an aspirated. Yeah, that's almost one more thing. There's one more element missing in that Devanagari. Yeah, little dot. We'll take it. But it's not a G. What is it? What is somebody say that letter out loud for me? Hmm?
no.
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 No, it's the nasal. Right. Wow, you guys are awesome. This is great. All right. Enough games. Back to work. All right, next slide, please. That was awesome. You guys are perfect. Great. Thank you, Marina. You are a technical whiz. Couldn't do this without you. Next one, I think. Yes. All right. I want you all to be brave and answer. Open your mics. How many cases does Sanskrit have? 8, says Yulia. Correct. And how many forms of each Sanskrit noun when it's declined?
No.
How many?
3.
3.
No. Yep. Couple of answers in the chat. 24. Now, I think the reason you said 3 is because each noun has a singular, a dual, and a plural. But it also has 8 cases. So there's a singular form of each case, a dual form of each case, and a plural form of each case. So altogether, 24 different words in one declension of a noun. So very briefly, how do the cases function? What do they do? Why do we have them? I need you to speak verbally, I think, but if you want to put it in the chat, that's okay. Why would we have so many cases? Do they all have the same meaning? Exactly the same meaning? Okay, the reason we have different cases in any language, I see an answer. They provide context as to what the subject is, the object, singular, dual, plural, and what action. Yes, they give us a great deal of information on what meaning that noun has in that sentence. So they give us lots of info, and each of the different 24 forms tells us a very specific piece of information. And we're going to go over that a little bit more. Let's have the next slide. Okay, we saw this last week. Here are the 24 forms of the noun yoga in declension. So yoga is a masculine noun ending in short and that's its declension. We need a description in that sense. For example, you might have a feminine noun of the class ending in long E, or a neuter noun of some sort. So there are different declensions. This is the masculine noun ending in short declension. And as I mentioned, maybe upwards of 70, 80% of Sanskrit nouns are this type. So it's very helpful and very useful to memorize this declension. Okay, we're going to recite it all the way through. So I'll do the first case and then you say it after me. Yoga, yogao, yoga. With me, please. Open your mics.
Yoga.
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 All right, where's my
Yoga.
let's pay attention to the long and short vowels. Yoga, yoga, yoga. Okay, so the only short vowel in that row is in the nominative singular, right? That's the in Let's do the accusative. I'll do it first, then you say it with me. Yogam, yogao, yogan. Okay, with me.
Yogam.
Yogam.
Yogao.
Yogam.
Yogan.
Yogam.
Okay, again, the only short vowel in that line is in the nominative singular, accusative singular. And we remember that ow in the dual is the verdi, and it is pronounced ow, and it's always long. All right, instrumental. Yogena, yogena, yoga byam, yoga byam, yogaihi. Okay, to me, please. Yogena. Come on, speak to me. Yogena. Yoga.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yogaihi. It's a hard one. Yogaihi. Yogaihi. So far, we've really only seen the visarga, which is that letter H with the dot under it, with something like nominative singular, yoga. But you can have a visarga with anything. So this, and you pronounce the after sound, the breath after the h sound, just like the vowel that precedes it. So in the instrumental plural, it's yogaihi, aihi, yo. So everybody say with me, yogaihi. Yeah, and that following, yeah, yogaihi. Yes, yogaihi. That following h, the sound following the h is just it's not a full vowel. So we're not going to have a beat for it. And if we were reciting poetry, we would probably not pronounce that. after syllable. So it has a sort of ambiguous presence. Okay, dative. Yoga, ya. Yoga, byam. Yoge, byaha. Yoge, byaha. With me, please. Dative.
Yoga, ya. Yoga, byam. Yoge, ya.
We'll say that last one again.
Yoge, byaha.
Good.
Byaha.
Yaha. So it's a short with a visarga. So yoge byaha. Good. All right, ablative. Yogat. Yoga byam. Yoge byaha. Yoge byaha. I said that last one twice because it's unusual, right? For us so far. It will become much more comfortable as we go through this. All right, ablative with me, please.
Yogat. Yoga, byam. Yoge, byaha. Yoge, byaha.
Good. Genitive. Yoga. Oops, wait a minute, I did that wrong. Yogasya. I'll say it again. Yogasya. Then yoga yoho. Yoga yoho. 3 syllables. Yoga yoho. Then plural. Yoga nam. Please say the genitive with me now.
Yogasya. Yogaya.
Yoho. We'll do that again.
Yoga, yoho. Yogaya.
Yes, 3 syllables. Yoga yoho. Yoga yoho.
Ga, yoho.
Good. Then yoga
Yoganam.
good.
Yoganam.
Perfect. Now locative. Yoge. Yoga yoha. Oh, I did that wrong. Yoga yoho. Yoga yoho. 3 syllables. Yoga yoho. Then the plural. Yogeshu. See, that's a cerebral sibilant. So it's sh with the tongue up against the roof of your mouth. Cerebral. All right, we'll say the locative together.
Yoge. Yoga, yoho. Yoga. Yogeshu.
Yogeshu, not su. Shu. Shu, shu, shu. Shu. Let's say that locative plural again together.
Yogeshu.
2 longs and a short. Yoge.
Yogeshu.
Good. And now the vocative. Yoga. 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 Once more, together with me, please.
Yoga. Yoga. Yoga.
All right. Now, I think I would like to ask you to memorize this declension. It'll help you a lot in your studies. Translation, which we're doing, that's why we're studying Sanskrit. Translation is all about figuring out word by word, how things are combined in a sentence. That would be Sandhi. And what endings they have, whether they're verbs or nouns or other things. You're figuring out what a word means, like the word yoga, Geshe Michael defines so beautifully as making whole, joining. Figuring out what the word means is the easy part. But figuring out how it fits in a sentence and what meaning it conveys so you can translate it, that's the challenging part. And we're translating not just for ourselves, but to learn to translate for others. So I'm going to ask you to memorize this declension, and I'm going to make a strong suggestion that you create some index cards for yourself. Now, maybe some of you are young enough to want to do this electronically, and if you can figure out how to do it, great. But index cards are very helpful, and I have a bunch that I've made over the years. It's a challenging job to make an index card for this declension. You take a card, divide it into 24 boxes plus 3 for the singular dual plural and 8 for the nai-dagal down the side. And you fill it in Devanagari, and on the back, you do the same thing in Ayast. This will help you a lot. Good, Amirta, she's old enough. Somebody else, Kathy too, yeah. But if you can figure out an electronic way, that's fine. But if you're in the grocery store or stuck in traffic or waiting in a doctor's office or something, you can look at your index cards. Maybe you could figure out a way to do it on your phone, but these are flashcards and they're very helpful. I've never actually heard, studying any other language, a recommendation to decline a noun on an index card. You have to have good eyesight because it gets pretty small, but it's a great discipline and exercise. You may ruin a few cards and leave a lot of time because it takes a while to do that. But then it's much easier to review and you learn a lot in creating them. So let's see. All right, now I'm going to ask Marina to do what I'm calling, maybe incorrectly, a split screen with this slide and the next slide. So let's see if she can do that. And Kathy, yes, excellent. It's very good to do index cards for vocabulary. It's wonderful. And I even do them, I don't have one here, but I do one word on top in Ayast or Devanagari, and then the English or the other, your language on the back. Then you can turn it upside down and do a second word so you don't waste paper. Ah, this is great. Okay. Can we make that any bigger, or is that as big as it gets? That's fine. If not, all right, so there's our chart. So we're going to refer to it. And we basically learned last week about the cases and how they each bring this different flavor to the word being declined. I mean, the word always means making whole, yoga. But depending on whether it's, genitive plural or instrumental singular, it has a different flavor. So let's go through the cases and the meaning each case imparts to the word for the word yoga. So the nominative case is the subject, as someone said earlier in the chat. And that just means it's the central focus of the sentence. So here's an example. Yoga is fun to do. Okay, and which case would we use? I think all these examples are singular, but you can easily see how if the word supported the meaning, you could use a dual or a plural. Like if we had the word for man, which is nara, you could have the two men did yoga, right? And that would be a dual. So that would be narao did yoga. But here we're saying yoga is a singular noun and it is nominative masculine. So the form is yogaha, yogaha. Any questions on that? Okay. The second case is the accusative. And you have to remember that that comes second because the ablative case also starts with an A, but it's very different in terms of its connotation, its flavor. So the accusative case is the object of the sentence. It's what the subject is doing to the object. So if we wanted to say, I did yoga today, yoga in this case would be the object of the sentence. So what form would we use? And I think, yeah, I took off the autocorrect so you can see it. It would be that nominative accusative, the accusative singular form, which is yogam. And Olya, I agree with you. It would be very hard to imagine using the word yoga in the dual or the plural. I could imagine it. You could say, anusara and what's the other kind of, I can't think of the other kind of yoga. Ashtanga yoga are two yogas that are taught. It would be awkward. But many other words, you can imagine them have these frequent usages form-wise. And that would be a word like book or person or tree or text, you can imagine. Okay, so let's go to the instrumental. The first two are pretty intuitive, but now we have the instrumental case, which, as we learned last week, implies a flavor of instrumentality by means of. So you could imagine a sentence, I get healthier by means of yoga. And in that case, the form we'd use is yogena. And that's the instrumental singular of the word. This word we try to use. Yes, we are learning this declension exclusively for the forms that it contains. And yoga is just a nice sort of Buddhist-y word that we are all familiar with, so I chose it to decline. It's an interesting point that Olya raises because in Sanskrit, you would have 24 full forms of a word, but you might not ever use some of them in actual life. But the forms are still there. And if you know them, you can apply them to the thousands of words you will learn in the future because you will know their form. What's important here is knowing the form and knowing what flavor that imparts to the word. It doesn't have to be in actual usage at this point, because when you see another word in declined form, you will be able to translate it well, because you know both what the form looks like when it's written and what the form means, what it imparts in terms of a meaning. Okay, so let's continue. The dative case is generally translated as 2 or 4. So I attribute my flexibility to yoga. That would be dative. So we'd use the form yogaya. Okay. Let me know if there are additional questions. Now, the genitive of or belonging to, we might say, the poses of yoga are many. And the form we would use is yogasya. And that really means of yoga, not just yoga, but of yoga, belonging to yoga. The locative case is pretty much just that. It indicates location. And it's often physical, but not always. So you might say, I met my friend in yoga. And then that form would be yoge. And finally, the vocative case. So this is a great example of what we were just talking about, which is that you would almost never imagine using this particular noun, yoga, in the vocative, because you'd have to say something like, hey, yoga, nice to see you again. And that makes no sense. But we have a form. And if we were to say that, which we actually just did, it would be yoga, right? And let's notice that that's the only version of this noun that looks like the word we toss around in translation in English and other modern languages, yoga. Otherwise, the other 23 forms are not Y-O-G-A. So that's interesting. Let's have the next slide. Maybe yoga is someone's name. It could be. Yes. That's a very good example of how we would use a case. Yeah, not that one. Yeah. Okay. So we're just talking about this. Vocative case is only used for direct discourse. And that means I am talking to someone. So yeah, usually it's a human being or some other living being, like your dog, that you are addressing directly. So I could definitely imagine a dog or a cat named Yoga, right? And it's the only case where the stem form, which is what we use in our modern languages to talk about a Sanskrit word, will appear, generally, the vocative singular. And the stem form is the form you would look up in a dictionary. But as you have just seen, generally that form will not appear anywhere in a Sanskrit sentence. So you don't see those letters Y-O-G-A anywhere. And the next slide, please. All right, here's a fun fact. How would you say this? And you all know how to say this now. Think about it and open your mics. What is that funny letter? It's my favorite letter to draw, the orphan letter. in the sibilant group, which is not a sibilant. So does anyone remember it?
Huh?
Yeah, it's the ha. Yes, ha. And what is that thing on top of the sutra? We learned this, but we haven't practiced it too much. It's a guna.
E.
A. Yes, it's a. So how would you say this word?
Oh, the letter.
It's you would combine the consonant with the vowel, and what it says here is hey. Okay, so 2 beats. So guna is always 2 beats, and this letter would be pronounced hey. I mean, this word hey. And the reason I bring it up is that in Sanskrit, it's actually the particle you use when you're addressing someone. Like I might say, hey, Olya. And I could say that in English, and it's the same in Sanskrit. So you just say, hey, Olya, hey, man, hey, so and so. And it's the particle that you use to address someone directly. And we would translate it Hey in English, but you would also see this if you were addressing the Buddha, for instance. You would say, hey, Buddha, but then we might translate it more respectfully as, oh, Buddha, may I ask you a question, or may I solicit your help or something? Okay, just a fun fact. All right, let's jump into the next slide. Jumping in. Okay, so we're studying Sanskrit in an organic fashion. So we are translators first and language students second, right? And this is the way Geshe Michael teaches languages, certainly Tibetan. And I don't think he's ever taught Sanskrit, but we're doing it according to his form, manner, style. So we learn about the language as it comes up in real verses from real ancient texts, not through some grammar book that makes artificially easy examples. So this can be more challenging, but finally, it is more direct. I think it's more satisfying, and it's more practical in the final analysis. So you may come up, and we're going to see that soon, with examples in the texts that are challenging or unusual or difficult in terms of their forms. But it's what real translating involves. And in this course, we are focusing on 2 verses from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. So let's have the next slide. We're very familiar with this verse. Would someone be willing to open their mic and recite this whole verse for us? Someone be brave. Come on, think about it. Yes, Andreas.
All right. Sorry, I haven't been practicing.
That's okay. It's class.
Adya me sapalam janma sulabdho manusho bhavaha adya buddha kule jato buddha putrosmi sampratam.
Very good. I would draw a little, everything was just right. I would draw a little extra attention to putrosme. So say that one more time. Putrosme.
Putrosmi.
Perfect. Okay, that was great.
Drosmi.
All right, so hopefully you're all practicing this, but let's go to the next slide. All right, this is the new one. And I think it was Amirta who found a discrepancy in the tata. I found this too, and I tried to correct all the tatas in the I asked, but obviously I missed a few. So the initial transcription we had was a little incorrect. It was missing a long marker over the second in tata. So if you see anything like this, raise your hand, because we're working through things and we will find errors and inconsistencies. Okay, so let's recite this a few times. I'll recite the first whole line and then you recite with me. Tha duna maya karyam svakulochita karina. Recite with me.
Tha tuna maya karyam svakulochita karinam.
That was great. You guys are really getting the rhythm of Sanskrit and how it flows, and how to say it correctly. Let's do the second line. Nirmalasya kulasyasya kalanko nabavedyata. Together.
Nirmalasya kulasyasya kalanko nabhavet yatha.
Good. That was excellent. Okay.
May I say fun fact? When I see this mistake, tatha, the rhythm was actually lost. That's why I found this mistake, because I can't remember it. This three word takes with rhythm.
So you're saying that you had to look at the Devanagari and then you
No.
noticed.
No, I said that I didn't hear rhythm in this text.
Okay. So that's how you found it.
Yes.
Yes, that's very helpful. Okay, great. All right, now, Marina, I'm going to ask you to do the split screen again with the declension of yoga on the left. And not this verse, but the next verse with the purple markers on it. Just the same color as my shirt today. Yes. Okay. So last week we saw that karyam, right, which is a word meaning action or duty, is accusative singular in this verse. So just find the accusative singular in the chart and notice that if you were just looking at, let's say, the I asked, and you were looking at the words in that first line, you would want to go and find where that ending appears in your chart. So we see the ending AM, and we look in the chart, and there's only one place we see AM. So we're pretty sure that's an accusative singular. And then we would infer that it's a masculine noun ending in short type. Okay. Now,
Sorry, Christina.
yes.
That yogam, that ending is not an anusvara.
Yes, that's correct. Now, why is it anusvara in the text?
I don't know.
Okay. Anusvara occurs when an M is followed by another consonant.
Oh, that's right. You told us last week.
So we see that the next letter after karyam is a sa, which is a consonant. If it was a vowel, there would be no anusvara. So what it does, anusvara, is change the sound of the previous vowel to a more nasal sound. That's why it's called anu, after svara, sound. But it's affected by the quality of what follows the ma. And we're just now, the reason I'm spending some time on it is that this is the definition of sandhi, not the official definition, but my definition of sandhi. What happens in the middle affects or is affected by what comes before it and what comes after it. So here we see that a ma followed by a consonant becomes anusvara, so it can affect the quality of the previous vowel. This is why sandhi can be so challenging, because it has before and after the letter implications. That's a great question. Okay. So let's look at karinam. And if we look in the ayast especially, although I would love you to look in the Devanagari as well, does it look like the same ending, karyam and karinam?
No.
Are they both accusative singular?
No.
Doesn't.
Why not? You're correct, but why not?
There
The
is long
last
Yeah.
letter.
Exactly. Karinam is ending in a long So that does not fit the accusative singular pattern, correct?
yes.
Yes. Which pattern does it fit? What case and person do you think karinam is?
That's plural.
Virama.
What?
Virama.
I'm not hearing properly.
Virama.
Oh, virama. Well, there is a virama there because it's at the end of a line. And it's important to notice that because it has no following A, right?
Mhm.
Tatiana doesn't want to talk, but she has the right answer. So
Is it possibly genitive plural?
yes, Tatiana and Andreas found that it is genitive plural because it has the nam ending. Now let's note that if you take yoga and you remove the A, you have to add the ending, and the ending is nam. So we need two long A's there, followed by the and that's what we have in karinam. So that would be a genitive plural.
Oh.
Hmm?
So here the I is short.
Right.
So
Because the oh, I see what you're saying. The I is short. So the word is karina.
okay.
And it is ending in the we can't have two long A's together.
Hmm.
So we would have karina and
Also, does it matter that the the N in the declination is dental
Yeah.
versus the N in karinam is cerebral?
Oh, no. And that's a very interesting observation. You will find that anytime there's a ra in a word, a following nasal will often become cerebral. So that's actually a function of the word karina and not of the ending, num. So yoga has no R in it. So the word, the nasal remains dental.
So what did you say? If there's an R in the word, the following consonant becomes a nasal?
No, if there's an R in the word, the following nasal becomes cerebral.
Ah, thank you.
So if the word, well, it just becomes cerebral. So if it were nara, no, I need to think of a word with both a r and a na in it, and I'm not thinking of another one right now. But if you have an R before a nasal, it often becomes a cerebral nasal. So that will then just become the spelling of that word. So you'll learn the word as a vocabulary word with a cerebral na, just in terms of learning it the way it's spelled. But you will notice that most nasals following the ra consonant, semivowel, will become cerebral. It's just an interesting function because I think as Sanskrit is spoken to the Sanskrit speaker, a ra requires you to change that na to a na. Okay. And what does the word mean? It means doer or one who does. Well, doer or one who does. Okay. All right. I'm very sorry to say we're out of time. We have lots more to do, but we'll do it next week. And can we have the last slide, please? You'll have to skip through several slides that we didn't get through yet.
I'm going to do 10 more classes.
10 more classes. That would be series 3.
I agree.
Series 3, plant seeds. I know that some students are already planting seeds because they're teaching Sanskrit, but you all have to teach somebody something about Sanskrit this week. So we plant seeds for series 3. And Marina is rapidly scrolling through the screen so we can come to the last slide.
Is this a purpose to us to ask you teach us Organic Sanskrit 3 in Sanskrit?
In Sanskrit? I do not speak Sanskrit. I only attempt to read it sometimes. The closest I come to teaching in Sanskrit is reciting some verses. So Marina has found the last. I'm sorry to keep you over time, but it was too interesting. Okay. So remember, if you learn one word of Sanskrit, you will learn it all. Celebrate. Promise me you will do coffee meditation on this amazing work you are doing. You are spreading the Dharma and preserving the tradition. And I just want to remind you again, ACI's next retreat, the new beginning, starts in less than a week. Sign up online. There are scholarships available. And the reason it's important is not only because Geshe Michael is teaching, and that is always important, but if you want to take the Diamond Way classes with Geshe Michael next year, 2026, you must take all 4 of these 2025 events. So tell a friend. There is nothing worse than somebody who wants to take something, but they didn't hear about it. So tell everyone you know. And good. Kathy's already subscribed. Wonderful. And I will see you next week. More Sanskrit coming.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.